Why, and I know you're really passionate about this subject, why should Christians even care about Islam?
There are multiple reasons. One, you have a lot of Muslim preachers and what are called da'is. These are the people. These are like their version of evangelists, but people who invite others to Islam. They'll pick up on whatever is most important or valuable to people, and they'll make up a story about how Islam is the source of that thing. When Islam was spreading in the African American community with the help of people like Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali and so on, the message back then was, hey, how can you guys believe in Christianity? That's a religion that enslaves people. Islam liberates people and treats all people equally. Muhammad freed all the slaves. And people believed that. People believed that message. It was completely false. It was completely false. Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, bought, owned, sold, and traded black African slaves. The Muslim community was the one that institutionalized the African slave trade centuries before the United States even existed. But think about this. When the preacher comes and says, hey, here's what's important to you, let me tell you, that's why you need Islam. If no one's in a position to raise his hand and say, hey, wait a minute, that's not true. What you're saying about Islam is not true. What you're saying about Muhammad is not true. This happens over and over again. If it's an area where they love science, then the Quran is a fountain of scientific learning and so on that contains scientific insights that couldn't possibly have been known by Muhammad. They must come from God. If you believe in women's rights, Muhammad was probably the greatest feminist who ever lived. And so you have these dawah guys, and they'll preach Islam, and they are all too happy to say whatever they think will help that person convert to Islam. And if no one knows any better, no one is in a position to correct any of this stuff. And so there's that you're kind of, one of the biggest advantages the Muslim da'i has is people's ignorance, because it allows him to say whatever he wants and to convince people that Islam is true. And so that doesn't change until people learn enough about Islam to raise their hand and say, what you just said about Islam and women is not true.